that as much. But again, there's the digital world, so some interest is still there. We're getting a couple of new hands in this area have come on board. So other than that, not much else to it. Back to you. Here is VE3BOA. 3 Echo.
Thanks a lot, VE3BOA, VE3RWJ. Yeah, I think it's hard to remember how big CB really was in the 70s. You know, when you had Smokey and the Bandit and what was that country song?
Node 5173
yeah.
connected to Node 50.
Different times. When I first got into the hobby in the late 80s, you could make a phone call from your radio through the repeater, local phone call, and we thought that was, you know, state of the art. I think space might help. You know, the International Space Station, the crew that just went up, 4 astronauts just went up. All 4 of them are amateurs. So, you know, contacting through schools and so on is, that can certainly create some interest. Next up, the VE3 Papa Whiskey in Toronto.
Remote already in this mode.
Good afternoon, Chris, and good afternoon, everyone on net. So you have Victor Echo 3 Juliet Papa Whiskey. My name is John. So I am located in Toronto right now, but most of my time is spent in Kingston. When I grew up, when I was an early teenager, the CB radio was the big thing, and I lost a few of my friends to the ham world who wanted to progress and get into that area. I never had a chance. I ended up getting a teaching job in Barrie, and 30 years later, or 35 years later, I wanted to pursue the ham radio at an opportunity. I checked for the course, and it wasn't available. And the next year, sure enough, it was available on the same day when I was there. And so I took the course and passed it, and that was back in May of last year. So I since relocated to Kingston, and it turns out that my call sign was prior owned by a Silent Key, and I've taken over his spot in the club, and yeah, it's just interesting. But always wanted to do it, and finally it's one of those things off my bucket list.
Well, that's great. And I think that's a good example of you know, people who find out about it early, and then, you know, life happens, and then they get into it later on. They remember it. So yeah, I hear that quite a bit. Thanks for joining us. Anyone else in Ontario looking to join the net before we head out west? 3RWJ.
VA3 Echo Victor, Cornwall.
VA3 Echo Victor. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I was reminded that net is on, and I haven't participated in this one before, and just been listening to what's going on. Oh.
Yeah, well, we go all across Canada and outside of Canada. People are connected up through their local repeaters, but also All-Star, IRLP, Echolink. Our topic this Sunday, though, is youth, and either what got you interested in the hobby, if it happened early in life, or what do you think might interest young people about the hobby? That's kind of our discussion topic for today.
I'll stand by, and I guess I join the list of people that will be talking about it all.
Okay, thank you for joining us. And let's head west. Anyone in the prairies looking to join the TransCanada Net? So Manitoba, Saskatchewan, or Alberta, the 3RWJ.
Victor Echo 4, Lima Foxtrot Sierra, Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Okay, just one so far. VE4, Lima Foxtrot Sierra. I hate to ask, but how's the weather out in Winterpeg?
That's a good question. Just a second, let me pull it up here. Currently sitting at -7 Celsius with a wind chill of -13 and light snow, and it doesn't look to be improving
Node
anytime
3,
soon. Over.
6, 8, 3, 3, 7, 3. Connected to node 5, 2, 1, 3, 3.
Oh boy. Well, it's still well above zero here in at least my part of Ontario. We have a big storm coming through the next few days, but hopefully most of it will remain as rain. We're talking about youth this week. Did you get into the hobby as a youngster, or do you have any ideas about what might interest the kids?
Well, I got into the hobby officially less than a month ago, and by most CAM standards, I am a youngster at 30 years old. So what got me into it was actually some friends who were interested in using ham radio frequencies illegally hunting, and I kind of looked into it and went, well, why not just get certified and get access to the whole community? So that's what brought me here, and it's been a pretty interesting experience. A lot of friendly people, and I've already
Remote
made
already in this node.
As far as getting young people involved, me and my girlfriend,
Node
like I
3,
said, are
6,
still relatively
8,
young,
3,
so not by
3, 7, 3. Disconnected.
Here. But we still have a relative connection to younger people, and both her parents were professional school teachers with kids. What we more or less concluded is that young people are really interested in is spending time with their peer groups and interacting mostly with people their age and kind of learning how to deal with the world through those people. It's very important at those ages. So group activities we think would be really important. Things like fox hunts, get a group of young people out and spend the afternoon trying to catch satellites. And another big side of it is what you're looking for, let's be realistic, are the nerds. So getting into the hacker and maker community, getting into colleges and universities and talking to electrical engineering or electrical technology programs. I think that would probably be a good place to look as well. So yeah, that's just my thinking so far. Over.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Thanks for all of that, and I'm glad you joined the hobby. Yeah, I'm part of a few Bailfang related Facebook groups, and yeah, the number of people who are saying, you know, I'm going away on vacation or I'm going hunting and I'm going to buy 6 of these radios and all my buddies are going to use them, and everyone else says, hey, wait a minute, there's this whole hobby you should investigate it a bit instead of maybe transmitting illegally. But you know, some people they go the extra mile and get involved. That's a great point about people their own age and the STEM community. There is a fair amount of that going on. If you look up HamSci, I think it's .org. But anyway, if you Google HAMSCI, there's a whole organization, mostly in the U.S., of science and amateur radio. A lot of people doing research, publishing actual papers. There's a lot of stuff there that, you know, most of it's beyond what I can really get my head around, but it's interesting. And thanks for joining us. I better carry on here. Anyone else in the prairies looking to join the TransCanada Net, please give your call phonetically.
Victor Echo 6 Whiskey Lima.
And Victor Echo 4 Delta Romeo Kilo Stan. Okay, a couple more. B4DRK, Dan, and B6 Whiskey Lima. B6 Whiskey Lima. B6WL, go ahead, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. The name here is Larry, and I'm located in South Lethbridge. And not a bad day at all. It's +5, a little cloudy, overcast, I guess they call it. But supposed to be going up to 16 by the end of this next week. So won't hold my breath there, but it's been very, very windy. Go ahead.
Yeah, sounds like winter has arrived there. Have you been a ham for long, and what got you interested in it originally, or initially, I guess?
Actually, I was licensed in 1985, and I got interested in high school. One of the shop teachers was a ham, and was always interested, was going to join the radio club at the school. I went to Winnipeg Tech School, so the gentleman from Winnipeg might know that place for sure. Famous for its butter tarts, by the way. And at any rate, it just blossomed from there. I've always had a shortwave radio. My first shortwave radio was at National NC66. And I think National at the time, they had an organization called the Armchair Adventurers, so we joined that. We got a shortwave listeners call sign. And I think it was PE4P.
Remote already in this mode.
But anyway, I don't know, it didn't really, I guess it wasn't really an official call, but anyway, for their club it was. And then it had sort of for retirement because of ill health after we moved to BC. I worked for BC High Engineering Department, and they asked me what I would do after I retired early, so to speak, or took medical. And I said, I think I'm going to get my ham ticket. And it was, it's got to be about 1980. And it's just grown from there. I've always been involved with CD radio in the 60s, with the helicopter CD radio in the car. And I did a lot of public service on CD radio, not too much chit-chat, but lots of public service stuff. So really enjoyed the hobby, met some wonderful people, and it's maintained what little bit of sanity I have left in my gray cells. So I think there's only one of them remaining. But it's great. They're having fun, love the hobby, and would really recommend it to anyone. Back to you, the 6 Whiskey Lima.
You've got at least 2 or 3. You're sounding good there. And thanks for that. Another person who got me interested in high school. We've heard quite a few people mention that. Thanks for joining us. Moving on to Victor Echo 4, Victor Echo 4, Delta Romeo Kilo. Dan, go ahead.
Good afternoon and good morning to the E4DRK, Dan in Southeast Winnipeg. Yeah, using the local All-Star system on my note here, hooked up to the local hub as well. And yeah, I heard Luke on there too. Actually, I'm not from Manitoba, but being a base grad, been all across the country, lived in every province pretty much. So. And I got my ticket in 91 when I was in Calgary at the time. And it was mostly just an interest. I'm a computer science math guy, but got interested in some of the other stuff up there as well. And so it's been fun. And, there's always lots to do and lots of things to play with, that's for sure. Go ahead.
Yep. Hey, it really has been Revenge of the Nerds, I think. When I was in high school, early 1990s, you were kind of an outcast if you were a computer guy or if you played chess. That was really on the fringes. And now the computer guys are running everything. So funny how that turned out. But thanks for joining us, Dan. Last call for the prairies before we carry on to BC. Anyone else in the prairies looking to check in?
Vehicle Victor, Region.
Yep, go ahead.
I wasn't sure when my turn came up for the subject that we're talking about today, and I I realized as you're going along that I kind of missed my turn, so I was going to add my 2 cents worth to it.
Oh yeah, by all means, go ahead.
Oh, very good. Yeah, so far I think I'm the old timer, licensed in '63. I think you can say I had a curiosity in electronics and the old-fashioned AM radios. I think we were way before your time. Were tubes, and they had a circular antenna that was eventually changed to a ferrite core with a lot of wire on it. But anyways, by tinkering around with that, lo and behold, I was listening to, I think it was the second harmonic of the oscillator, and it comes out on 80 meters, and I was listening to a guy about a mile away from me, and anyways, eventually one of these guys eventually got me into working in a shop and at Air Canada, and then later on I decided that working on aircraft was more interesting, so until I got my licenses. So basically I'm a retired aircraft maintenance engineer, and I like to build, create, and before I even got my license, don't tell the MOT, which is
Remote already in this mode.
Ministry of Transport issued licenses, and I built my first transmitter, I guess, with an old using an old military receiver to go along with it. And in the '60s, mid '60s, I built a sideband transceiver, which was kind of interesting. But I like to build different things. So I basically, you can say, my hobby actually got me into my work, and I've been off the air, I guess, for many years until I retired and started getting back into everything. But I have still a great interest in the subject. I think for younger people, I believe in the States, I'm not sure how it works in Canada, but in the States they still have the Novus license, and they have a certain area of the frequencies on the different HS bands that you can use, and therefore the peer operators, peer pressure, being amongst your peers, you can I guess you can say be satisfied for that part. Myself, I'm not a computer nerd, and I really I'm not real keen on all these internet additions. I was and still am very interested in the IRLP. In fact, I'm about to sponsor a node and get it set up here in Cornwall, where there used to be one. I guess that's pretty well it. Back to net control, the A3 Echo.
Okay, thanks a lot for all that. And yeah, certainly kit building is a big part of it, and there's lots of that still going on these days. It's Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and some of the computer things. I remember some Radio Shack kits from when I was a kid. This would be early 1980s. It's too bad we don't have a Radio Shack around anymore. I did read they're bringing it back in the States, but it's not going to be brick and mortar stores, so, not really the same. Anyway, thanks a lot, and I better move on to British Columbia. Anyone in BC looking to join the TransCanada Net, please give your call phonetically, VE3RWJ.
Victor Echo 7, Papa Mike. Kit building. I taught myself electronics using the Radio Amateur's Handbook, and all this stuff was designed by me, through me. All the bits and pieces were created. Holes in chassis, everything along that line. It was a pure hobby. Let's put it this way: no cheating, no kits. Oh.
Yeah, and I imagine a real sense of satisfaction, doing it all yourself like that. Okay, I've got to move along. Sorry about that. I did get Victor Echo 7, Papa Mike. Was there someone else in BC looking to join us?
Victor Echo 7, Quebec uniform, you sit on the block.
Okay, transmit. Oh, there we go. Victor Echo 7, Papa Golf Kilo. Victor Echo 7, Papa Golf Kilo. Ken. Victor Echo 7, Romeo, Tango Romeo. Victor Echo 7, RTR.
Victor Alpha 7, India Charlie India.
Victor Echo 7, Foxtrot Uniform.
Okay, got a bunch there. V7 Foxtrot Uniform. Victor Alpha 7, India Charlie India. Victor Echo 7, Romeo Tango Romeo. Victor Echo 7, Papa Golf Kilo. Victor Alpha 7, Quebec Uniform. And first up, Victor Echo 7, Papa Mike. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi there. This is Brian from Kamloops, BC. 73 on the net. Thanks for taking my check-in.
Remote already in
Okay,
this
thanks a
zone.
lot, Brian, in Kamloops. Are you new to the hobby, or do you have anything you want to throw in about our topic?
I'm not super new to the hobby. I did recently get my advance, though. And could you remind me what the question of the day is?
Basically, it's youth. So either what interested you about the hobby as a younger person, or what can get young people interested in it today.
Well, out of personal experience, I know I handed the mic to my daughter one night just for our local club net. She's 14, and I got to tell you, she was tickled. She thought it was the coolest thing in the world for those 15 minutes. So I think just getting people to see the equipment and see it is important, because otherwise you're just going to take the first easy thing that comes to you. As soon as you see it, though, like, you'll get a good portion of people that fall in love with it. That's my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm glad you got her interest, or piqued her interest there. Thanks for joining us. I better carry on here. I've got quite a list. VA7 Quebec uniform. Go ahead, please.
Victor. There's Victor Alpha 7 Quebec uniform here. First time on the All-Star net. I'm from Ontario, so hearing all the guys from Ontario brings back my memories of being a kid of 15 years old, jumping onto my bike in Burlington, Ontario, and pedaling to the Oakville Amateur Radio Club. And we were interested, two of us were interested in getting our license. And this was way back in the 60s and 70s, somewhere around there. Well, 41 years later, I finally got my license when I got to Vancouver area, and I got connected with the North Shore Amateur Radio Club, not in Oshawa, in Vancouver, the North Vancouver group. Anyway, nice chatting. Thank you very much. Victor Alpha 7, Quebec uniform, back to net.
Okay, thanks a lot, VA7QU, V3RWJ in the net. See, that's, you must have been really interested to cycle all that way, to take the class, connect with the club when you were out here in Ontario. And next up, Victor Echo 7, Papa Golf Kilo. Go ahead, please.
And everybody on net. This is Ken, Kilo Echo November, and we're in Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. And I got involved through the Salvation Army and a friend of mine, 15, 16, maybe 17 years ago now, I guess, doing communications, and we belong to the Ham Radio Club here in Prince George, which does communication for Emergency Management BC here and Search and Rescue. Anyways, just another a bean count for you. Have a great day, 73 from the E7 Papa Golf Kilo.
Thanks a lot, Ken. And good you mentioned emergency communications. I was reading recently, I read an article about the situation in the U.S., and a lot of younger people are interested in the, I guess, the service aspect of it, helping out for events, emergencies, that kind of thing. Seeing it as a service as well as a hobby. And it's, you know, they call it a service down there. Next up, Victor Echo 7, Romeo Tango Romeo. Go ahead, please.
Thanks, Chris. Victor Echo 7, Romeo Tango Romeo. And yeah, I got into ham radio many years ago. I was listening to Victor Echo 3 Golf Victor Golf, and his story sounds kind of like mine. My uncle listened to ham radio back in the 60s and early 70s. So I got into it, and probably, I think it was the early 70s, I was the youngest ham in Saskatchewan for a while. I was Victor Echo 5 Yankee Queen, and I don't know who has that call now, but I dropped out after a bunch of years. I made some heat kits. Does anybody remember heat kit? I made some heat kit gear, and I used it for a while, but I dropped out to so I could go to university and to telecom engineering, which was a good career, but I started up again just like 6 months ago because I bought one of these little
Remote already in this mode.
that I could use for monitoring logging road channels when we're doing some back road driving. And I got looking at it, and lo and behold, it can do all the ham frequencies, and I started listening, and I can actually see the tower for Victor Echo 7 NZ, so that got me onto the All-Stars channel, and I was amazed at what this can do. I have no idea because I've been out of it so long. So yeah, I'm thrilled to be back on listening, and I'm still learning how to do voice because I only ever did CW back in the 70s. So I'm still a newbie at the voice thing, but I really appreciate that. It's a great experience. So thanks for hosting this.
Okay, well, thanks for that. I'm glad you got back into it, and it's interesting what sort of kindles people's what gets people's interest going. I was going to add something, and it just slipped my mind, but I'm going to carry on down my list here. Thanks a lot for that. And next up is Victor Alpha 7, India Charlie India. Go ahead, please.
Victor Alpha 7, India Charlie India. Victor Alpha 7, India Charlie India in Kamloops, British Columbia. Good morning and good evening to everybody on the frequency. Just checking in, and how I got inspired on the ham radio was my dad. He was a ham radio operator in India, got a little bit of knowledge into it, then came to Canada, then did my ham radio operator's license in Grand Prairie, Alberta in 2012, and been thinking around with it and discovering new things, SDR, satellites, and HF radio, and been playing with a little bit of radio in town with my friend P7 PPF.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, and that's a good reminder that, you know, it's a global hobby. And you're the second person to mention a family member, I think. Someone else mentioned their uncle. Got them interested in it. Thank you for that. And next up is Victor Echo 7 Foxtrot Uniform. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, V7FU, and name is Rob, and located in central Okanagan, BC. To answer your question, built a kit from Radio Shack in the 60s, and I think it was probably later 60s, and was listening to airplanes. Lived close to YVR, and that kind of got things going, and then it was shortwave listening, and then it was GRS in the early 70s, and hung around with a group on GRS, and when one of them got his ticket, that kind of energized the rest of us to do the same. So
1978, got licensed as VE7CFL, and been working in telecom and public service for a large chunk of my career. My last 14 years was with Industry Canada / ISED, and retired at the end of 2015, and wasn't that active during my last 15 years of work, except on 220. And now that I'm retired, All-Star allows me to connect with all the guys that are still in the Lower Mainland, and waiting to sell their mansion so they can move up here. Over to you.
Thanks for that, and glad you're enjoying All-Star. That's a couple people who've mentioned really enjoying All-Star. It's certainly, it doesn't cost a lot to get into it, and it's another way to connect up using the internet. Thanks a lot. And I have to ask you this, Rob. I'm sorry. I was not going to, but are you tired of people making comments about your call sign?
Well, I've had a few interesting ones throughout the years. Almost got into a large argument on the air once in Las Vegas.
Remote already in this mode.
One of the other fellows I was down there with for a convention, and the Americans did not at that time believe that this would be a legitimate call.
Yeah, well, I can relate. When I first got on the air as a youngster back in the late 80s, I had to call Victor Echo 3 Sierra Hotel Tango, and back then it was the Department of Communications, and I guess they didn't have a problem with it. It does make you wonder, though, if there's a list somewhere of things you can't get as a call sign. I know there is for license plates. Things you can't get on a vanity plate, but okay, thanks for that. Thanks for indulging my curiosity. Anyone else in British Columbia before we open it up to everywhere else? Anywhere else in BC looking to check in? VE3RWJ. East, Echo 7, India, Golf Charlie. Echo 7, Lima, Whiskey, Sierra. Okay, Echo 7, India, Golf Charlie. Go ahead, please. Victor Echo 7, India Golf Charlie. I hope I got your call right. Go ahead, please. Yeah, I got into the hobby about 2 years ago, 2018. I got my ticket, had an opportunity to get it through work. And I had a uncle that was in the Navy. He did LCW, and when I was a young child, he showed me how to do the radios and all that. So that's how I got into the hobby. All right, thanks a lot for that. And yeah, I'm not sure they're using CW anymore, but I remember when the Coast Guard dropped it a few years ago. But that's great though. And next up is Victor Echo 7 Lima Whiskey Sierra. Go ahead, please. Hello to you, Chris, and everybody listening on the net today. Larry and Victoria. Yes, I began my adventure with my father giving me a military receiver as well, and was absolutely delighted to hear all these world radio stations. Russia, China,
Ecuador and Australia and realized how many different points of view there was to a particular subject in the world. And that led me to geography, and what I really like, and still today, is participating in either the All-Star or D-Star, and then following up with figuring out exactly where they are in the world. I do enjoy that a lot. And what also helped me out is, out in the west coast of the island, having radio and no cell phone service, and was able to communicate quite well. Thanks so much for being there, Chris. 7 Lima Whiskey Sierra.
Thanks a lot for that, and yeah, it certainly gets through when
Node 3, 4,
the other stuff
1,
goes down.
1,
Cell service, the
2,
internet.
8, 3, disconnected.
I'm sure there's still lots of remote locations where radio makes it. And for me, it was shortwave as well when I was a kid, listening to the BBC and so on. And sadly, there aren't as many stations on now, but a lot of it's gone online because it's cheaper. But V7NZ, Adrian, do you have
Remote
anything
already in this mode.
before I open it up to the States and beyond?
Hey, thank you, V7 November Zulu. I was actually going to just sit and listen today, kind of enjoying listening to everybody's answers, but since you called my name, I'll jump in. And I've been not 100% attentive to the question today, but it sounds like it's how did you get started? About encouraging youth. I think somebody made a comment about the maker community, and I totally agree. That seems to be the high growth area for attracting new people to the hobby. And I got started, like a lot of people, with the magic of a shortwave radio, and just imagining somebody on the other side of the world speaking into a microphone. And there I was listening to it in my bedroom as a young boy, and then going, wow, this is neat. And then when I made my first HF, or my first DX contact on TV, accidentally, with somebody in Winnipeg, I was like, whoa, how did that work? And when I learned, I was hooked. How can I do more of this? So then I got my license at 15. No, 16. Studied when I was 15. No, I was 15. That's right. I remember. The license was 15, and I've been hooked ever since. So, to me, it's always been about the magic of experimentation and HF propagation, which is quite fun right now, by the way. Back to you, Chris. Great job. Sorry for some of the technical hiccups at the beginning, guys. We're working through it. We're trying a particular installation version. Still got a few things to be worked out, I think, and we'll shore that up in time. V3RWJ, V7 November Zulu.
Thanks a lot, Adrian. Thanks for everything you're doing behind the scenes there to make this all run as smoothly as possible. And I know you've done a lot of other networking things in the past too, with satellites and so on. iParn, if anyone remembers that. Okay, we have 20 minutes left approximately. We're going to open it up to everywhere. So anyone, anywhere looking to join us, the U.S., beyond, and still in Canada. Anyone, anywhere, V3RWJ.
Victor Alpha 3.
Victor Alpha 7, Tango Delta.
Oh,
this is Alpha Echo 7 Mike Romeo. Alpha Echo 7 Mike Romeo, Mr. Terry, 87 MR, Harrisburg, Oregon.
Okay, I got a few there. I got Victor Alpha 7 Tango Delta. I got Alpha Echo 7 Mike Romeo. I got VE3BQK Den. Nice to hear you. I think there was another VE3 station in there. The other VE3, go ahead, please.
Victor Alpha 3, Golf Bravo Victor.
Victor Alpha
3. Okay. Back up my list. Victor Alpha 7, Tango Delta, go ahead, please.
J7PD, good morning, Chris Lynette. This is Reagan Aquila on the VE7NFR 900 aggregator. I first got interested in ham radio when I was in elementary. My dad had been a ham when he was a VE8 working on the 2 line on Baffin.
Node 5,
I remember
2,
playing with all of
1,
the
3, 3,
the radio and electronics equipment in the basement and going through his old QST magazines from the 1950s. So I got my license in 1985. VA7 Tango Delta.
Thanks a lot. 2 years before I got mine, and I didn't know QST was around that long. That's interesting. Thanks for coming in on 900. Thanks. Alpha Echo 7, Mike Romeo. It's your turn. Go ahead, please.
Alpha Echo 7, Mike Romeo, Mr. Terry. Well, I've had a microphone in my hand for almost 50 years. Somewhere around 1975, I met KGR 1774 Lloyd, which became my father-in-law, and he held his license until his death in 1987 because of his medical condition. Let's see, and that's well after most of the CB and the CB stuff was taken away. I always wanted to do this because I have a military communication training, but I couldn't code my way out of a wet bag. And that's
Remote already in this
church
mode.
leader in 07, 08 asked me to become the ham radio coordinator for the Latter-day Saint Church here in Junction City. I said, how quick can you do it? So been their coordinator now for about 15 years. Then drop it. I'll be right back. Echo 7, Mike Romeo, Mr. Terry here. He says, well, I'll even purchase your radio. I said, well, how about if I do it myself? I'll appreciate it more. So I purchased the 857. So nice. I bought it twice with the ATAS 128. Also for the mobile, I have the Sidekick, High Sierra Sidekick, which is a chicken antenna. I enjoy the living heck out of it. Don't need no power with that bull. And that's I'm the coordinator in my church, and I just enjoy the living heck out of it. My newest acquisition here, I'm going to drop it. I'll be right back. Echo 7, Mike Ronan, my newest acquisition is a FT818. I've got the Z817 tuner, and I have got the 1899T expandable antenna, the telescoping antenna, and it does pretty good. And I set it up here in the rehab center. I made a mistake and got on the ground the other day and couldn't get off, so I spent some time in the hospital. Now I'm in the rehab center, and I spent a little time on 40 and 20 yesterday. Didn't find much, but hey, it's the chase. I absolutely enjoy the chase. And with that, I'll turn it back to Net Control. This is Alpha Echo 7, Mike Romeo, Mr. Terry. Back to Net.
All right. Glad you still have access to the radio there in the center. Thanks for joining us. That's very interesting about the code. Some people really love it, and some people, can't get their heads around it. But good they dropped it as a requirement, and I think there are just about as many people interested in it, either using it or learning it today as before. It didn't disappear. I think everyone thought it would just go away, but CW is still very much a part of the hobby. I have to move along here. VE3BQK, Den, how are you this afternoon?
VE3BQK here, afternoon, Terry. And I'm doing okay here, and I was just thinking about, like so many other people, I got interested in HF, shortwave, from my dad's radio. And then I built a Heathkit receiver with the intention of building the transmitter next, and
studying for my exam. Back then, I could not pass the CW exam, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I have a pretty serious case of dyslexia, and I can more or less recall what the signals were, but when I wrote it down, it all came out wrong, so I couldn't pass the test. I didn't like CB. My father had a CB, and it didn't do what we wanted because we were between two towns, and it didn't really reach each town properly, so it was a waste of time. Other than that, so it was a lifelong ambition, and finally did get my license last year in August, and I've been catching up as fast as I could, and like learning CW as well. I found another way of doing it. If I do it on the keyboard, I don't have to write the fewer mistakes. Okay, VE3, back to you. Over.
Okay, thanks for that. And yeah, computers can definitely help. Thanks, Den. I'm sure I'll catch you on all the other nets throughout the week. I got to move on here to Victor Alpha 3 Golf Bravo Victor. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody on the net. Good morning on the West Coast. I was part of the Canadian delegation at WARC 79, and that's where I got interested in ham radio. That's where they opened up what is now called the WARC bands, and that got me interested, and I got my license in 1980. And been a ham since. I had a bit of a quiet period when the kids were younger, but 2 years ago I started back.
Remote
anyway,
already in this
thanks for
mode.
having me, and thanks for holding the net. This is Victor Alpha 3 Golf Bravo Victor.
VA3GBV and VE3RWJ in the net. Thanks a lot for that. You're the first person to mention the work conference and those bands that came out of it. I've done CW on 30 meters, but I haven't done anything on 17 or 12 meters. Closest I got was a lot of stuff on 11 meters, but thanks a lot for joining us. Anyone else anywhere looking to check in, please give your call phonetically to 3RWJ.
Victor Echo 7 Alpha Romeo November.
X-ray via VA3WAJ.
Victor Alpha 3 Delta Mike Zulu. Okay, we've got a few more. Victor Echo 7 Alpha Romeo November. Victor Alpha 3 Whiskey Alpha Juliet. I think I got that one right. Victor Alpha 3 Delta Kilo, Delta Mike Zulu. So, Victor Alpha, I'll get it. Victor Echo 7 Alpha Romeo November. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, very good morning or good afternoon to everybody on net. Just been interesting listening in over the last little while. My name is Mark. I'm in Kamloops. And first interested in radio, I remember I was a little boy sitting on my daddy's knee in the early 1960s. And he had a transistor radio he was so proud of. We would listen to stations at night from far away.
Node 4, 5,
Got me interested, but I didn't get licensed until 1988. I was a Victor Echo 8 at the time, and moved to Alberta to be a 6, and now to BC to be a 7. Had a lot of fun with ham radio. It's been really good to me. I really enjoy CW. And yeah, I guess that's about all there. So thanks for picking me up, and a very good morning, good afternoon to all.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, and thank you for joining us. Have a good morning out there. And next up is Victor Alpha 3 Whiskey Alpha Juliet. Go ahead, please.
This is actually Victor Alpha 3, Victor Whiskey X-ray. I was just letting you know, Chris, I was coming in through the WAJ machine.
Oh, okay.
All right, I got your call down now, Tom. Go ahead. What got you into the hobby? Or the other question is, what do you think, would get kids of today interested?
Kids of today, I don't know. You gotta, here's VE3RWJ righty. Here's one of the things. I would say that all the ham radio enthusiasts of previous years have become the computer nerds of today. That's the transition that's been made. So if there was a way to pair ham radio up with computers, more so than what we're doing, that would probably be a good gateway. But the other thing too is there's not a lot of visibility of ham radio, despite what we all like to believe. We think that everybody knows about it, when the reality of it is very few people actually know about it, and most people don't know what it is. So advertising it would definitely be a benefit. As far as getting into the hobby, I've been licensed since the early 2000s, very early 2000s. And basically, as you know, I go looking for storms and tornadoes and things like that. And a lot of storm chasers use ham radio to communicate. And of course, in Canada, can warn's a big part of it. And that was the motivating factor there, getting into 2 meters initially. But of course, I went back and I did have my basic plus, and I eventually got my advanced, and I took up the hobby with my other hobbies. That's how I got in. After that, in the 90s, my dad was a big shortwave listener.
Remote already in this node.
Long before I actually was licensed to operate with it.
Node 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 8, 3, connected to node 4, 7, 6, 2, 0.
The Victor Whiskey X-ray, Tom and Etobicoke.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Tom. And you're the first person to mention storm spotting. Certainly a big deal in the States. And I think I even saw the ARRL just released a new edition of their Storm Spotters Handbook, I think it's called. All right, thanks a lot, Tom, and glad you could join us. I think that's the first time I've heard you check in here. We're here every Sunday starting at 1 o'clock Eastern. In Toronto, we're on the VE3RWJ repeater. That's pretty good coverage. Next up, Victor Alpha 3, Delta Mike Zulu. Go ahead, please. Thanks a lot for hosting the net. This is Scott in Windsor, Ontario. I'll keep it brief. I'm struggling trying to figure out my Ethernet pull out to the garage. I want to move my Alpha Guard and node out to the garage, like get an antenna up on the roof. Maybe how far I can punch it out in my neighborhood. Getting young kids in days, I don't know, I might be a good example. I think my brain works like a little kid a lot of the times too, and I'm having an absolute blast with All-Star. So definitely getting the knowledge out there that the radio world is moving to meshing with the computer world, and I think that'll really help bring the kids in. Other than that, back to this networking stuff, every year it gets a little harder with my eyes with those little tiny wires, but I'll get this figured out. So thanks for opening that again, Chris. I'll be out. It's Scott in Windsor, VA3DMZ. Thanks a lot. And you're our first check-in from Windsor. We haven't had that many people out in the southwestern part of Ontario joining us yet. We've had a few from London in previous weeks. All right. Any more check-ins? We'll take one more round of check-ins. VE3RWJ.
Victor Echo 3, Lima Yankee X-ray.
Bravo 2, Juliet.
So India 7, Hotel Uniform Bravo.
Bravo 2, Juliet Oscar.
Quebec Yankee. Okay, I got a few there. Who was the last one with Quebec Yankee? Lima 4, Quebec Yankee.
KL4QY.
KL4QY, got you there. And we got K7HUB, which I believe is Lee in Germany. I got a partial call there, but I think that's who it is. WB2JJO and Victor Echo 3, Lima Yankee X-Ray. V3LYX, you're up first. Go ahead.
Yeah, Victor Echo 3, Lima Yankee X-Ray, Don in Prince Edward County near Belleville. I got into the hobby. My dad was a design engineer, electronic engineer. He started with General Electric. First project was giving FM radio its voice, and then he was hired away by Collins Radio to do the Aero radio and the Voodoo Jet radio, ARC 552 being one of his claims to fame. So I grew up around radio, but I'm a mechanic by trade, but I'm a ham at heart, and I built my first regen at about 12 years old. Still build them. Been built 2 this year already. And I am surrounded by World War II radios. Collins PCS station. Number 19 said a pair of ARC 5s with the matching receiver. A AR2 RCAF
Remote already in this
receiver. And an HR-19,
Node
and I love to build and design.
133 connected.
And I also
Node
can work in solid state,
585.
but it's not where my heart is. So that's my story. I was licensed around 1980, 1981. I'd have to dig my thing out to remember. And my first call was V3LYU, and I met after about a year another V3LYU on the air, and we both had a connection, but after we settled down, we decided before we went to the DOC, we would exchange QSL cards, which we did. And I was the one that got the changes called, even though I was the first license, but that's the story of my life. Anyway, that's my story. Thanks for taking in that. Very interesting. V3LYX, back to the net.
Glad you're enjoying it. Thanks for joining us. And that's a great story about the duplicate call signs and your dad having a connection to the radio equipment aboard the Aero. Definitely interesting history there. Okay, moving on. WB2JJO. Your turn. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Chris. This is Ray here at WB2JJO, located in the state of New Jersey, the southern part here in Cape May County. And I'm really enjoying your net today. Good question.
No,
I was licensed back in
1964.
I figured it out. My calculator, of course. I've been doing this for 56 years, and I first got the bug when I was in high school. We joined a group called Civil Defense at the time, and I don't know if too many people really remember that, but I'm going back a long time, and it all started from there. And we went on our first field day with the guys from Civil Defense, and we kind of got the bug, and then of course we nailed down and studied, and I'll tell you what, we had to go through the hoops with the code back then, but I was able to get through it, and I finished up as an advanced. I took the whole deal to the Navy with me, and it helped me out big time. I was a radioman in the Navy for 20 years, and I'll tell you what, it worked out really well. And like the other gentleman mentioned about the World War II stuff, well, I've got the best radio in the world, I think. Anyway, it's a Collins R390. Those were workhorses back then when I was over in Vietnam. So with that there, Chris, I won't belabor it anymore. That's how we started. As far as today's children are, I really don't have an answer for you there. Like I said, I'm 73 years old, and I don't see anybody coming around knocking on my door saying, "Hey, Mister, what are those antennas on your roof for?" So we'll see. But Chris, thanks for doing the net, and we're really appreciative of the fact that you do it, and we'll say 73s. So with that there, VE3RWJ, this is WB2JO.
Yeah, thanks for your service and the story, WB2JJO, VE3RWJ in the net. Well, certainly Collins stuff, Collins and Drake have great names. I'm pretty sure if you go to Rob Sherwood's site where he ranks all those receivers, in terms of sensitivity and various other parameters, there's some Collins stuff in there still. Right up there with the modern rigs. Next up, I think it was Lee in Germany, KE7HUB, the 3RWJ in the net. Guess not. Was someone in there with Hotel Uniform Bravo in their call? Nothing heard. I have to move along here. Kilo Lima 4 Kilo Lima 4 Quebec Yankee. Go ahead, please.
Remote already in this mode.
Echo 3 in the X-ray Juliet mobile when you're free.
Okay, VE3IXJ, I've got you here, and one more call for Kilo Lima 4 Quebec. You're out there. KL4QY. All right, maybe we lost a connection somewhere in the network. V3IXJ mobile, go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Name here is Don, Delta Oscar November. QTH is Aurora. Next trial, just went into a store to do some shopping, and I put the radio on scan here, and bingo, there you were. Don't think I've ever heard this net before. Using a Hytera MD782 UHF radio with DMR ended as well. And not sure what your QTH is, but I've got a lovely day here in Aurora. Over.
Okay, yeah, it's still warm here in Ancaster, just west of Hamilton. And glad you found our net. We are just about to wrap up. And sounds like a great radio there. And this net happens every Sunday at starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC, I guess, 10 a.m. Pacific. And it does go all the way across Canada and into the States and various other places. It's on All-Star, IRLP, Echolink, various repeaters. So, thanks a lot for joining us, and that will be it. Sorry we had less check-ins this week. We did get off to a bit of a slow start with some technical issues, and we have lots of good stories from everybody. Thank you to everyone who checked in. We will be back next week at 1 p.m. Eastern, next Sunday. In the meantime, our website is canadahub.ca, canadahub.ca, and that's it. 73 3RWJ.